Are you telling me that the racism that you've experienced has come from the black community
Yes. Yes.
and not from what we're told,
It's coming from.
white folks?
No.
All right, family, welcome back to Well Said with Kim and Vic. I'm Kim.
I'm Vic.
And we want to thank you for joining us on the YouTube channel, Seeking Educational Excellence. Shout out to KJ. And today we're going to get into our series on racism. We did a little intro previously about what we're going to talk about. So today we're going to kind of get into the who, where, what, why, when, all of the questions about racism. We'll give you a brief definition of what we found, what racism is, and start to kind of make the case how we believe that racism is a social construct.
Yeah.
That it never really existed until the late, is it the 15th century?
The 14th, in like 14th, 15th century. That's when everything started to, people started to be identified according to color. And, that's always a ruse behind something. Someone is going to gain something. And I experienced race first in my entire life was in my own community. And I thank God for my dad. My dad, a wise man, very wise man. And he used to tell me, Victoria, you're the most beautiful woman in the world, young girl in the world. There's no one more beautiful than you.
Thank God for your dad.
And it gave me confidence. And I never had this problem when I was with my counterparts. I went to an all-white school, and I felt like I fit right in.
Right.
And I would come home.
Didn't feel self-conscious.
I didn't feel, no.
See, your dad's a testament on a side note to the importance of fathers in the lives of their children, whether it's boys or girls.
Yes. This is what I'm saying.
Yes.
And when I would come home, and we would get off the bus, because I come from a family of 9, like I had told you, I was greeted by my community. If we were walking home, I remember this boy used to taunt me every day, just about. And
so wait a minute, let me get this right, Vic, before we even get into this. Are you telling me that the racism that you've experienced has come from the black community?
Yes.
And not from what we're told?
It's coming from
white folks.
No.
And it's funny you would say that, because I got a similar story, but in the community, we know this happens all the time. If you're dark skinned, we have the paper bag test within the black community. And, as a little girl growing up, she's right. I remember little black boys teasing me because I was so dark. And so go figure that.
Yeah. And and as I grew up, just to give you a little, my boyfriend that I was interested in, the first young man, was very smart in high school, and he told me that I could never bring you home to my mom.
What?
And
I can figure why.
And he said, you're so smart, but you're
too dark.
I'm too dark.
I mean, he wouldn't come out and say it, but that's what he meant.
But he knew I knew. And he went on to become a doctor, he's a surgeon. However, I'm just like, are you, it's like, I never heard anything like that in my life, because my parents weren't like that. You bring home who you love.
Exactly.
No one abusing you.
Right.
Physically, mentally.
Exactly.
You try to get something, but they was strict about meeting someone that was a Christian, because they didn't want us bring home.
But nothing about color.
Not about color.
It was more about character.
By the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
It was always about
Go
character.
figure, your parents were concerned with character.
Exactly.
What a concept. Wow.
A race was never, ever brought up in my home. And the thing about it is, my girlfriend that used to come over to my home, she was white. She was white. And when she came home, nobody asked me, was she white, black, Asian? It was,
wow,
your friend is coming home.
Right.
And that was it. So,
very interesting.
It's very crazy how we have progressed to this, where everything is race, and race is a motivator to divide groups of people, large groups of people.
Hey, if you guys are watching this video, make sure you put a comment about maybe your own personal experiences with race. I'm sure all of us at some point, especially the United States, is so polarized with race. But just share your personal experiences if you want to. And so on that note, we do want to bring you the Britannica definition of race, which is, this blew my mind when I read this, because, you know, we're so indoctrinated, and particularly in American society, about race, that we would think it's been around since the beginning of time. But check this out. This actually comes from Britannica.com. Do you guys remember having encyclopedias? I did.
I had a whole set, and my mother used to make us go read them.
Yes, mine did too. A lot of the stuff that I learned, my mom wouldn't tell me. If I would ask her something, go look it up in the encyclopedia. So it's still there. I'm very encouraged to know that it's still here. But race. Let me read this definition to you guys right quick. Race, the idea that the human species is divided into distinct groups on the basis of inherited physical and behavioral differences. Genetic studies in the late 20th century refuted the existence of biogenetically distinct races, and scholars now argue that races are cultural interventions reflecting specific attitudes and beliefs that were imposed on different populations in the wake of Western European conquest beginning in the 15th century. So that should tell you that before then, race didn't exist. It was the human race. And if you look at scripture, even if you look at the Bible,
like I told you,
any type of philosophical text, it says nothing about race.
And the thing about it is, like when I told you that before about I used the analogy of when God called Adam, he didn't say, "Hey, black Adam." He didn't say white Adam. He just said Adam. He called him by his name.
Yes.
And the wonderful thing about that, going on a spiritual point, you guys, is that when God calls us, he doesn't call us by our color. He just calls us by our name.
Yes.
And when he calls us by our name, you can sense it, you can feel it.
You know it's the creator.
Yeah.
So, you know, based on that definition, I love that definition, and I hope you guys take that and really, you know, take it to heart for what it really is, because there's definitely an agenda in this country to separate us by race.
Yes.
When race never even existed in human history until, you know, maybe about 500 years ago. Basically. So when we look at race too, just to put some things on your mind, like who benefits from keeping us divided by race? And we're not going to answer these questions for you.
We're just proposing them to you.
We're putting them out there. We want, you know, why would somebody want to divide us
the people
by race?
Why?
Right. And you know, we already answered when it started. Before, you know, all history of mankind. You got to think about it too. If you think about back to, you know, the beginning of time, we were more concerned with survival than color. We had to find our next meal, keep from being eaten, you know, these types of things. And race, and I promise you, if it ever came down to that again, race would go right out the door. Because race is an immutable characteristic that you don't have anything to do with. You can't choose your race.
Exactly. And the thing about it is that when you are you're in need of a blood transfusion, you're not looking at if it came from a white man, black man, Asian man.
You want the right
you
blood
just
type.
Want the right blood type. Make sure it get into your
That's
veins.
a great point, sis.
And because the bottom line is survival. You want to stay alive, and so therefore that's another point that we can bring. That when you are injured, you don't care what where that blood is coming from. You don't care where that kidney is coming from. That lung, those eyes. You don't care about that. Only thing you care about is that particular part of the body you can use.
Is available to you, right?
Yeah.
You don't care what
You don't
color
care.
they are.
Yeah.
So guys, we hope that this will put some things on your mind and start you thinking about race from a realistic perspective, not from a perspective that's coming from an ideology that's being pushed to
Yes.
keep you divided.
Yes.
If you have any doubts about it, just stick around because we got some more information that we're going to be bringing to you
Straight to the head.
And we thank you for joining us this time.
Thank you.
Peace.